If you've been eyeing yourself a Concept2 Model D and the price tag is just destroying any sort of idea that you might be able to have a nice quality rower in your home, well, then this video is for you because there's another option out there, people, because this is the MERACH NovaRow R50. So the MERACH NovaRow R50 is a rower. It's supposed to compete with the Concept2 Model D. I think that where they're going with it is they want it to be the Concept Model D killer, like the Concept2 killer. And so what they've done is they've gone and basically copied the design from Concept2. Now, is this something that's like terrible? No, actually, if you look at how long ago that the Model D rower patent expired, I'm actually kind of surprised it's taken a company this long to actually copy something like this and bring it to market. Does that break my heart a little bit? I guess, but that's the nature of IP. And so now that this is out there, we can talk about the NovaRow R50, talk about what MERACH has done to set themselves apart, if anything at all, and whether it's right for your home gym. Now let me get this part straight, like right out the bat. If you are a CrossFit competitor or somebody that competes in rowing and the metrics that are inherently inside of those monitors are something that's important to you, this will do nothing but just frustrate you and make you upset. What this is a Concept2 Model D with the one of the world's worst monitors ever. Not to say that it is useless. It is not useless, but the way that I see it is that they knew that the PM5 from Concept2 was such a great monitor that they chose to basically just go an entirely different direction. And the direction that they chose to go with is you can use their monitor if you want, or what they want you to do is they want you to use the application with your device inside of the slot. Before we get to that though, I want to cover the actual guts of everything. Now, I did take this apart. I wanted to look inside the squirrel cage. I used to actually fix these things, so I know what's inside of them. And what I can tell you is it is basically a Concept2 Model D. It is so close to a Concept2 Model D that I would be willing to bet that you could go to Concept2's website and buy parts for this, and I bet you that they would fit. One of the things that is different is that there is a sensor right in the middle of this hub, right in the front, and that's what actually gives you the number, because one thing that is different is the monitor actually tells you at what setting that you are at from 1 to 10 as far as on the air dampener. And again, the whole idea here is that it restricts air coming in when it's down at number 1, and then when it's all the way up here at 10, it allows air to come in. The more air that comes in, the more resistance that the flywheel has, and basically makes it harder to row. So 1 is really easy, 10 is really hard. It's all having to do with airflow. From there, all those metrics do go into a small sensor located behind the squirrel cage assembly, and basically gives you some of the same data, should be pretty close to all the same data. So you're still going to get like your 500 meter time. The things that you're not going to get are like setting drag factor, which is something that is commonly used to kind of standardize the resistance of the rower for the Concept2 Model D, as well as the Rogue rower has the ability to set the drag factor so that, let's say that you're at 1,000 feet above sea level and at sea level, those are going to feel different depending on where you're at, because again, it's all about airflow and the thickness of the air. So the higher up you are, theoretically, it would pull a little bit easier. So you can, instead of selecting a number, you can select a drag factor. Now with this, you won't be able to get that setting, but all of the other stuff is pretty good. Whether or not the calories line up between the Concept2 Model D and the actual MERACH sensor, I don't actually know because I didn't put them to the test that much. But the way that I see this going is if you are just wanting to get into rowing, the MERACH NovaRow R50 is probably a really good choice, especially with price in consideration. But if, again, you are competing in one of those sports where you have to row, and it's for a certain amount of calories or for a certain amount of whatever it might be, a distance maybe, you might want to go a little bit more specific. Although I would argue you could get the same training stimulus for a lot less money, for about 30% less money. Now, as we go through this, there are some differences. So for instance, this is the guard. This is the chain guard that as it goes through, the whole point of the chain guard is so that as you're coming in, if you accidentally grind the chain left, right, up, down, it's supposed to kind of protect the equipment from the chain and the chain from the equipment. On the Concept 2 Model D, this is more of a rubberized softer material. This one is basically just a sacrificial plastic. And also they don't offer a replacement for it. So again, I would wonder if the Concept 2 Model D would potentially be a replacement for when this does get worn out. But for most people at home, that probably won't be the case. You probably won't find yourself wearing anything out. The internals are all basically the exact same. It's a nice big plastic scroll cage in there. It's got the perforated metal band that goes all the way around. It's got the same back on it, the same sensor on it. It's got the same bearing that's mounting the entire apparatus. And again, the only difference is that extra little potentiometer in there that tells the computer where the actual indicator is pointing. So when it's pointing at a 9 on here, you can see that it is a 9 on the sensor. That also reports over to the application. As we come up to the arm folds up the same as the Concept 2 Model D. It holds in place. The cables are tucked out of the way enough. I would like to see maybe that cleaned up a little bit from MERACH, but again, not a deal killer, just something that, you know, little note here and there. But the cables are tucked up out of the way enough that it's not a problem as you go to actually flip this thing up into storage. Nothing is going to impact the ground. And additionally, the sensor is set up so that you don't have the sensor sticking up over the top of this so it doesn't get bumped around, because that kind of protects the sensor. The next area would be like the chain. Now the chain goes into the sprocket up there. All of that whole drive system is the same. Basically the way that this works is that there's a sprocket up here, and then inside of the bottom there's a chain that goes to a little block, like a little block and tackle unit, and then there's some bands, I'm sorry, not bands, some bungee cords that actually wrap around an anchor point down here in the bottom. That whole setup, again, exact same thing as the Concept 2 Model D. So again, I'd be curious to see if those units would spill over. And it's even the same as far as like how the handle connects to the chain itself. I will say that the handle does feel a little different, but again, the angles all feel pretty close to the exact same as the Concept 2 Model D. So no real complaints there. It's that same kind of Concept 2 thing where this probably works for like 99% of the population, so why change a good thing? The platform that it sits in, the little protecting area, catches it just fine. If you drop it, just the same as the other one, it has a tendency to occasionally kind of pull it back up into there, but that's nothing that's new. And then coming down to the foot cup assembly, this is one point of contention that I really have with this particular rower versus the Concept 2. Now again, functionally, this thing works pretty close to the same. I think the metrics might be a little bit off, but again, no way to prove that. But the adjustment works the same as far as adjusting the heel cups so that your foot appropriately fits into the stirrups. My point of contention here is that the heel on the back is both thicker and it comes up higher. As a result of that, I find, especially because of the shoe choices that I have, that it is very uncomfortable on the back of my heel. Now, this is something that originally I thought was because I've been wearing barefoot shoes. Awesome shoes. Code KL10 saves you $10 there, 10%. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is that I thought it was my shoes that were actually causing the problem. So I went and I changed shoes to like a better pair of running shoes, like something a little bit more traditional. But even with those, just the height of this heel cup is so great that I think it's just too high and I think it's too stiff to be comfortable for me. Now, I'm the only reviewer that has complained about this, so maybe I'm just a big baby, but I don't think I am. I'm pretty sure that this is a different design slightly. Would love to see this improved from MERACH. I might try to fix it with maybe some foam or something, maybe put like an adhesive foam back here on the heel cup just to protect my little baby heels. But again, not necessarily a deal killer, but a slight annoyance for sure. Another thought that I had was I was actually scrolling the Concept2 website before filming this review. For $4.75, I can get Concept2's actual foot holder, and I thought about buying a pair of those and just seeing if they feel more comfortable or if they even fit inside of this unit. Another difference between the two units is how your foot actually attaches to, and what you get is this kind of like D-ring system, where as you put your foot in, and I actually think this is an improvement over Concept2's, but the strap free rotates in there and you have this ring. And what that ring does is it gives you something quick to grab onto so you can take yourself out real quick or put yourself in. With the Concept2 system, you have to grab the strap itself. It's not that the Concept2 one is bad, it's just that I like this one better. Just my preference. The strap holds just fine, sturdy. The actual foot cup, the entire like foot extension assembly here, is strong enough that as I'm pulling on this, trying to break it, nothing is actually happening. So it's nice and strong. It's going to handle any of the biggest pulls that you have. Now, herein lies another difference. Now, the MERACH NovaRow R50 is a bit heavier than the Concept2 Model D, and that's because the Concept2 Model D uses a lot of aluminum in the construction of it, and the MERACH is using, I'm guessing, a mild steel, and as a result, magnetic items tend to fit to it. Now, at first, I was like, oh no, this is going to make it heavy, but then I had the thought, because of Eric Carpenter over at Carbs Gym, which if you're not subscribed, you should, and you now have the ability to put a drink spotter on there. So MERACH, excellent job. Apparently this was a long game the entire time to be a collaboration with Ergonomics. So go get yourself a drink spotter, because when you're rowing, can you imagine what would happen if a spill occurred? Like instant death would occur. Now, another difference that I really like is the seat. The ergonomics of this seat, way more comfortable. Gone are the days of, oh, my butt hurts from rowing, suck it up, get over it, and just get better at rowing. Now we actually have a nice padded seat, which is unfortunate because there are companies out there that actually made seat pads for the Concept2 Model D, and MERACH kind of bypassed them and just made a seat that's nice and comfortable. It glides on this nice stainless track. It glides really nicely. It uses the exact same bearings that are up here in the front of the unit behind this little protector cup. And no real complaints. The only thing that I noticed that, and again, I don't actually know if this is different, but this piece, this top piece here, is actually replaceable. You can take this off, and this glide material is just basically not the exact same thing, but the actual range that you get is the same as the Concept2 Model D. I don't know anybody that's tall enough to max this out. So as far as usability across different shapes and lengths of athletes, I think you're going to be fine. Just like the Concept2 Model D, the MERACH NovaRow R50 also stands up vertically. So you can pick it up vertically and store it like this if you're like me and you're a rule breaker. However, the super crappy manual also states that you're not supposed to do that, and it breaks apart nice and easy in the middle, just like the Model D, so that it's apart in two nice equal sections that somehow you have to then put together to make weird storage thingies, or just be like everybody else. And I know the instructions say not to do it, but just store it put together. Because that's the way it's supposed to be done. Of course, if anything bad happens because you store it like this, it's not my fault. It said in the instructions not to do this, and you should always follow the instructions. All right, so one more good. This thing handles up to 350 pounds. That's great. Do I think it will? I weigh 215 and I'm dropping on this. I think you're gonna be okay. One other thing I don't like is the buttons. All right, so there's 3 buttons on this controller. I said I was going to talk about this later, and here we are. So here's the deal. Whoever wrote the user manual, I'm sure that you tried very hard, but this sucks, and it's wrong. Basically, this is my recommendation for learning how to use the buttons. Read the manual, and then don't do that, because those buttons are wrong. Those will not do what you want it to do. So just press and hold the reset button, and then randomly push crap until, nope, that's not the right one. Nope. This is what I mean. This is very, very frustrating because it shouldn't be this difficult to get to any other setting except for manual. So again, I know, okay, there we go. Interval, target, okay, good. So press and hold reset for a long time and then press reset and now it's already not working again. All right, so like this module, this sucks like a lot. It's the worst. The best part, what is this even for? There's like a connection port on this on the top and nobody knows what it's for. All right, so like this, it's terrible, right? So the point of the monitor is to hold a device which you install an application on. Now, if you want to pay for the premium application, you can. And as a result of your hard-earned money paying for a premium application, you too can pretend to row in the water when you're in your gym in Ohio. So for me, it's just not worth the money. But I also don't row that much. And I also don't row competitively. And I don't think that most people that use Concept2 rowers in a gym setting are rowing to get better at rowing. I think most people that use rowers are rowing because they don't want to run, which is respectable. That's a good reason to want to row. It's less impact, etc. If you use your phone with the MERACH application, you can get all of the metrics from the actual module. And when you use your phone to do it, it all works better because now they're not limited by these 3 terrible buttons. Additionally, if you use a heart rate strap, if you're using just the module here, I will say that I've had 100% success, and I mean that, using 2 different heart rate monitor straps, both from Garmin. One's an old one, one's a newer one that has more advanced Bluetooth stuff that's compatible with my Nordic Track treadmill because yes, I do run. And yeah, both of them have connected to this thing just fine. They've got an accurate heart rate. I verified because the heart rate monitor was connected to my watch as well as being connected to the monitor as well as being connected to my phone. All 3 of them said the right number. So it does work for that. So I'll give it that. But at the end of the day, this is designed to be used with a phone or a tablet or something of that nature. It is not necessarily designed to be used with just the controller, which really breaks my heart because I just don't like that. I just don't like that at all. But I get it. You need to cut costs somewhere. But I would just argue that why waste the time with any of the electronics that are in here to begin with? If you want us to use the phone, just make this a cradle mount for a phone and just make the thing Bluetooth and just skip the whole display thing. Just my 2 cents. So that's all my notes for the NovaRow R50. I'm gonna give this thing 6.5 out of 10. Now hear me out, these are the reasons why. 1, the module sucks. The module takes off 2 points. Just right off the bat, 2 points for that. I'm gonna take off another half point. I'm gonna take off another 3/4 points because my heels hurt every single time that I use the machine. And then I'm gonna take 3/4 points off because I wasn't gonna give anything a 10 anyways. So we're just gonna go with that. But at the end of the day, would I recommend this for most people? Yes, absolutely. This is an amazing value for what you're getting. I think that for a lot of people, if they want a rower in their gym, I think that a $1,000 price point from Concept2 is just a really big thing to tackle. Additionally, the one from Rogue is super big, overbuilt. From what I hear, it tends to be difficult to break apart in the middle. This doesn't have those problems. It stands up nicely. So yeah, I think it's a good value for the money. It does break my heart a little bit to see Concept2's design being so blatantly ripped off. I would have preferred to see some innovation, but at the same time, the Model D was such a good unit. I also can't fault them for stepping in and just straight up copycatting everything. But that's been it for this review. Tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next week with another review.